Am I the a-hole for losing my temper at sister-in-law after she ruined the meal I made? Plus update. My sister-in-law Ashley is, for lack of a nicer word, obnoxious. She constantly does whatever she wants, even when you ask her not to. She thinks she's right above everyone else, even when she's dead wrong. And she's just got this very stereotypical baby sister attitude, where she acts like she can do whatever she wants and nobody's allowed to be mad at her because she's baby. Yes, that's something she regularly says. My husband says she's the youngest of their family, so her acting that way is normal. But I pointed out I'm the youngest of my family, and I've never acted that way. I don't like sister-in-law, but I've been polite and kept a peaceful relationship for my husband's sake. Until today. Today was the first time since 2019 that my husband or I have been able to see our small friend group in person. We all got our shots 2 months ago and decided to meet up finally for dinner. I cooked while our friends either pitched in ingredients, made appetizers, or brought wine. I made some pasta ravioli by hand, which was hard. I made enough for me, Hubs, and our friends. But after they arrived and we all caught up while I was finishing the food, sister-in-law showed up. She let herself in and greeted everyone happily. They know her and said hi, but I subtly asked Hubs what she was doing here. Turns out, he'd mentioned the gathering to her, and I guessed she assumed she was invited? I told him to tell her to leave, because she can't just invite herself like this. He said that would be humiliating for her, and asked if she could stay. I was annoyed, but agreed. Things were fine at the start. I had a few sips of wine to relax, and was about to plate everyone's food at the kitchen island and bring it to them, but forgot Parmesan, so I went to get it. I heard sister-in-law say she'd help bring the food to the table. I said no thanks and to stay seated. My back was to her, and she said something I missed because of the loud clang of a pot hitting the floor. I heard everyone gasp, and I closed my eyes. I knew what happened, but didn't want to look. When I did, I just started crying. Hours of work splattered on the floor. Sister-in-law said it was okay, that it was just pasta, I'll buy more. I lost it. I called her a stupid witch that ruined the entire dinner because she refuses to listen. She started boo-hooing, and I told her to shut up and leave. She ran out crying, and I sat down to cry too. Our friends consoled me, but husband tried to say I went too far. But our friends told him he was an a-hole and sister-in-law wasn't wrong. They helped clean and we ordered pizza. But after they left, Hubs and I were flooded with calls from his family saying I was a horrible spoiled brat who made their baby cry over some stupid food. Now I'm just crying and feeling like garbage. Did I go too far? I don't usually get so angry or curse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Hub said he understands I'm upset the food was wasted, but he doesn't think my outburst was warranted and was actually kind of extreme. Tomorrow's his off day, and I told him he's going to be making the dish like I did, by hand and on his own, and then at the end we'll see if he thinks my outburst was unwarranted. Now for the top comments before reading the update. You're the a-hole, but justified a-hole. From her perspective and her brother's, your husband's, you went nuclear. She's highly entitled and been brought up this way. You can't change her. And from your story, her family still continues to encourage her. Maybe she's clumsy. Maybe she spilled it on purpose. But either way, you're not going and spoil the food. This may not be your hill to die on, but if you're glamorous and being the baby, play along. Oh no, no wine for you, you're still a baby. No thanks, I don't need help. This is a big girl thing, maybe when you're bigger. Sorry, this dinner's for grown-ups and you're a baby. I'm incredibly petty though. This actually made me smile a bit. Thanks. Part of me really wants to do that to her. See how long she lasts before she throws a tantrum. Well, if she throws a tantrum, that typically means the baby needs to go down for a nap, or maybe a bottle. Made their baby cry? She needs a serious wake-up call. And if she cried over it, then good. She needs to get some consequences. My kid's sister is the youngest, and she's mature, thoughtful, and courteous. There's no reason for sister-in-law to be doing this. Not an a-hole. Not an a-hole. You overreacted in a moment of high temper, but she inserted herself into a dinner uninvited, disregarded the hostess's wishes, and then downplayed her disaster. You had every right to be upset, and she decided to then turn the family against you. She's the a-hole. I don't usually flip out like that. I'm very level-headed, but seeing my hours of hard work dumped on the floor just broke me. Update. Welp, Hubs made pasta for the first time today. and it went much like I'd anticipated. He was all confidence that it'll be easy during the first 30 minutes. But towards the end of the first hour, that disappeared as the burn in his arms really set in from making enough dough for almost 60 ravioli. I did not lift a finger to help him knead, since I didn't get any help when I did it. After the dough was done and wrapped up in the fridge, he made a filling, which took another 40 or so minutes. Then the dough was brought out and he had to start crafting the ravioli, all by hand after rolling the dough out. Lord, that went on for ages. Just rolling some dough out, cutting out squares, filling them and putting the top on, rinse and repeat until the dough and filling was all gone. All in all, the entire process from start to finish for him on his own took a little over 4 hours. And that's with us not actually cooking any of the ravioli. Also, he didn't make any sauce or cook any shrimp for the ravioli to be served in/with. Also, he didn't prepare any salad to go with it. And when I told him this, that there was still more to do, he almost started crying. He started saying sorry at the 1 hour mark and he hasn't stopped apologizing since. We had a long talk about his sister and the dinner she ruined, and the other time she spoiled similar incidents. There's a lot. And how him and his family always let her get away with it. He says he knows how they treat her isn't normal and he doesn't like it, but was raised to just go with the flow regarding Ashley. But he said he's going to call her and tell her we need some space from her now. More update. Hubs just got a message from his cousin of Ashley laughing and bragging about intentionally spilling the pasta to teach me a lesson for being such a snobby witch. A handful of you all thought she did it on purpose, but I didn't actually think she did until hearing her admit to it. I have never seen my husband this pissed off before. I don't know what's going to happen now. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for breaking up my brother and his girlfriend? My brother has been quite financially successful in life. He's been dating his girlfriend, Gia, for about 2 years now, but she honestly earns probably 10% of what my brother makes. However, they split costs evenly on everything, which would of course be fine, except that my brother wants her to move in with him and pay rent. I've become pretty good friends with GF, and she told me she was upset because my brother wants her to pay half the mortgage and utilities, etc., which she absolutely cannot afford as it's a very expensive house. This isn't a one-time issue either. My brother has developed champagne tastes, but expects her to pay half the costs of these tastes that she literally cannot afford. They both then came to me about it together, because I think they felt I was a neutral party in some ways. Basically, I was blunt with them. I said they need to discuss financials, and that any healthy couple would have to confront how to approach earnings if they want to continue long-term. Either A, my brother needs to shoulder more cost, or B, they need to spend less, including on housing. My brother made it clear those were not options he would accept. So I said the simplest solution is not move in together, but they'll need to address this issue at some point, or accept they're not actually expecting to be together long-term. Basically, GF took the last point to heart and felt that my brother wasn't serious about a relationship if he couldn't compromise on the issue. And now my brother is furious with me and told our family broke them up by telling GF to date a guy who will spend money on her. My family's now pissed at me too, and brother calls GF and me gold diggers. I'm a lawyer and earn the same as husband for context. Here's especially where I think I'm the a-hole. I told brother the only one who cares about marrying someone with money is him. And he's the greedy gold digger who will never be happy because he cares more about money than people he loves. I hate that I said that, because my point with GF wasn't even the money. It was that brother created an impossible situation for GF and refused to compromise or be flexible, which is necessary for a lasting relationship. Family is demanding an apology for everything, so now I'd really appreciate a third-party opinion on whether I'm the a-hole or if I have a warped view on relationships and finances. Not today, home. Good for you looking out for the GF. I hope she finds someone better. Agreed. But OP, who told your family what happened? You or him? Because if he was the one who told your family, he lied. Or at the very least spun what happened to make himself sound better. Don't accept this. Fight back. Go around to the family and ask them what your brother told them, and then tell them the truth. Unless your entire family is like your brother, they shouldn't all be on his side. Not today, Hall. Not today, Hall. At all. Don't you dare apologize. Your brother and GF came to you for advice. You gave them excellent advice which the GF took to heart. Then brother misrepresented your contribution for sympathy from others. Your brother sounds like a shallow, materialistic person, and everything you said to him is totally correct. Stand your ground. Not today, Hall. You're absolutely right. Your brother is so concerned with avoiding gold diggers that he's insisting his partner drown financially trying to keep up with his expensive tastes. Either he should have split costs proportionally or lowered the living costs to meet her level. If he wants a more expensive place/restaurant/etc., he should be willing to cover the extra. His own behavior and refusal to compromise is what ended the relationship. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to get over the sexist mix-up of her twins' names? My sister is really upset, but honestly, I don't know what I did wrong. She had her twin boy and girl in November of 2020. She named them unisex names. Peyton is the boy and Mike is the girl. I never really thought much of it and didn't think it was a big deal. My sister, however, gets extremely upset when people mix up the twins' names. She told me she got upset at the nurse that called them into one of their first doctor's appointments because she assumed Peyton's name was Micah and vice versa. I raised an eyebrow at that, but didn't say anything. Since then, she's gotten into countless dumb arguments about the mix-ups, some I've been present for. For example, once my friend was over at my house when my sister stopped over with the twins, and when my friend and I were holding them and I had told their names, she accidentally called Micah Peyton when she was complimenting her. My sister audibly sighed loud and made a big show of taking her baby and saying that she hates that people are so sexist and mix up her kids' names. A friend and I were so confused, but we just brushed it off because she left soon after and laughed about it. This happened yesterday. When our old grandmother was over at our house and accidentally thought Micah was named Peyton, my sister snapped at her rudely and I got mad. I told her to not get upset our almost 90-year-old grandmother mixed up her great-grandchildren's names. My sister said it's dumb, that the names are unisex, and if she clearly states who's who, then people need to call them the names accordingly. I told her it's an innocent mistake and not meant to be malicious. She said it's sexist, and that she hates that people are constantly making that mistake and brushing it off like it's not harmful. I told her to get used to it, because it's probably gonna happen for the rest of their lives and to stop complaining, and that since they're twins, their names will always be put together and people will assume the more feminine name is the girl's and the more masculine name is the boy's. She said that thinking is sexist and I'm a Nahal enabler. Now for the top comments. Okay, so if your sister is so adamant that they're unisex, then why would you think it's sexist if they call the wrong one the wrong name? She either obviously and on purpose named them backward to be woke or make a point, or they're unisex, and in that case, it's acceptable and expected that some people will confuse them, as either name could apply to either child. They can't be both unisex and wrong sex applied at the same time. And second point, I call my kid the dog's name, and the dog my kid's name, and they're not even the same species. Right? The sister is arguing against her own logic. She did this on purpose. Also, I can't tell how many times my parents have said a wrong name by accident. Sometimes they call me my sister's name, but every once in a while they go through the whole family, including my brothers. It happens. Not the a-hole. She knew what she was doing when she chose those exact names, and it almost seems like she's taking some pleasure in the fact that she gets to huff and puff and correct people with their horrid sexist attitudes. I'm actually shocked people think that, because honestly, I've heard both names used as boy and girl names. We live in California. I'm not sure if it's regional or not. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not offering to house my sister's family in my new, huge house? I'm male 31, am single and child-free. For the past few years, I've been house hunting, and during 2020 was offered to buy my great-grandmother's farmhouse. It's about an hour away, almost 80 years old, needs a lot of tender loving care and comes with about 15 acres. Originally I declined, but my grandma offered it at a steal to keep it in the family. The price was worth the land alone, and I loved the idea of restoring it, so I said yes. The house has 6 bedrooms, which sounds like a lot, but they're actually very small. The plan is to turn 4 rooms into 2 rooms and a bath, 1 room kept as the master, and the 6th room is actually the dining area that will become a part of the living area. The one great thing is the kitchen is huge and has an outdoor extension like a mudroom. I've recently started construction on the rooms, and have gotten some odd reactions from my family. My mother believes I should have kept the house as is, and when I pried, she admitted she thought I'd offer the house my sister's family. My sister, female 34, has 3 kids, female 11, female 9, and male 3, and a deadbeat ex-husband. They divorced after her 3-year-old was born and my sister moved in with my mom. Our parents are divorced, so dad is not a part of this. My sister's husband moved back to his family's state and only sees the kids a few times a year. The child support is not much because he has a low-paying job. My mom's house is a 3-bedroom. My nieces share a room while my nephew sleeps with his mom. My sister has a job and could rent her own apartment, but wants to save up money instead. My cousin's son, male 15, has started staying as well and sleeps on the couch as his family life is not all that great right now. The house is cramped, but my mother refuses to ask her to leave, and they have started making passive-aggressive comments about me being single and alone in such a huge house. When I asked my sister, she also admitted that she expected to at least be offered to live with me. I told her it's an hour away from her job at school. Why would you want to? She then said she would make the drive to work and change the kids' schools. I told her I won't have the space, and now it has become a fight. My sister got my great-grandma involved, and now my grandma told me I should let them live with me because the house is family property. Now even my 15-year-old cousin is asking about staying with me. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. One is never responsible for their family's situation. You are not obligated legally or morally to house your family. Stick to your guns, because if you let them in, they may never leave. And the sister expected Opie to at least offer for the sister's family to move in, meaning she also had some wild expectation that with some luck, Opie would offer the entire house outright. Opie, your sister would take over your house if you let them anywhere near it. Continue with what sounds like really awesome renovation plans, and whistle away from your mom and sister when they start up the discussion again. Not the a-hole. Once you bought the house, it was no longer family property. It's your property and you get to decide who lives there. Not the a-hole. If it's family property, they can start covering up money for rent, renovation, and taxes. Your family is apparently full of entitled losers. If I were you, I'd sell the house honestly, and tell them it's because they won't stop bothering you. First story is titled, Update. Am I the a-hole for pouring my husband's sweet tea down the drain? Original story. I lost my part-time job due to COVID and I've basically become a little housewife. I'm fine with that, as that's always been my role in my relationship anyways. It's just less hard to keep up with now. I'm also in school for nursing, but obviously I'm doing that from home. My husband works full-time and works hard. His commute to work is very long, over an hour each way. We go running together every day, and because I know it's a lot of stress for him, we meet 20 minutes away from our home so he doesn't have to come home and drive back out. He calls me when he's 20 minutes away and I leave. Today, I was 7 minutes late as I had to turn off all the lights and get myself together before leaving the house. When I got there, he coped a major attitude with me for being late. Refused to even speak to me. For being 7 minutes late. I tried to explain that I had to put my shoes on and turn out the lights, but he wouldn't talk to me. The run was very awkward, and when we got home, he said that he felt he had every right to be angry and stomped off upstairs. I've had a lot of pent-up feelings about the fact that he has always expected me to be at his beck and call. It's like he thinks the whole world revolves around his time schedule because I lost my job. Anytime he's hungry, thirsty, he yells my name. He doesn't even serve his own plates anymore. It's like he thinks I just sit in the dark with my hands folded, waiting for him to call. At this point, I knew he was being ridiculous, and I was just so upset that I did something that may make me the a-hole. When he came downstairs, I told him that he could make his own dinner, his own lunch tomorrow for work, and I looked him straight in the eyes. I poured a pitcher of sweet tea I make him every week down the drain. And I said, you can make your own freaking sweet tea too, you ungrateful brat. And I walked out and drove to my mom's house. So, am I the a-hole for that overreaction? I was just so annoyed. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. I felt like the everybody sucks crowd had a point, until I saw he's 31 and you're 19, and he specifically wanted a housewife. Look, age gap relationships can work out fine and be perfectly healthy, provided the older partner treads with care. He has an obligation to be especially mindful, patient, kind, and to make your needs and comfort the focus of the relationship. He should be letting you guide everything, following your lead, and not concerning himself with what he wants. Otherwise, he's just an exploitative creep. No. 19 and 31 is never gonna be okay. That means at 30 he went out and found a girl that was legal by the skin of her teeth and married her as fast as he could. That is so deeply not okay. I mean, clearly this dude was looking for a hot young bang maid, but I don't see any scenario where a 30-year-old can go after an 18-year-old without being a creep. Typically, when people do creepy stuff like that, it's because they can't get a person in their own age group, because there is something troubling about them. It sounds like this dude has major low self-esteem and insecurity issues. I am a year younger than this guy. I would run for the hills once I saw a red flag that intense. Same with the expecting a subservient housewife. Okay, so there's a lot here. Girl, you're 19. You and this man are not equals. He thinks of you more as a maid than as a partner, and that's not going to change. You've got a whole life to live, and you can't limit yourself to serving an older man who doesn't care about you forever. Leave. Find a job, even a crappy one for now. Find local food pantries. If you can't afford a cheap place right now, try to stay with friends. You are worth so much more than this. Nothing wrong with being a housewife, but only in a fair partnership, which this is clearly not. Go live your life, not a hole. Please leave before he locks you down with babies. I was going to say you probably overreacted a little bit, but then I saw that you are 19 and is 31. Of course you overreacted. You were still just a kid at that point, who was spotted by a 30-year-old man as being vulnerable. He has groomed you and placed you in exactly the position he wanted. A young girl he can sleep with and keep tied to the house and to him. He got mad about 7 minutes because he is training you to be scared of letting him down at all, or be even 7 minutes late to something. So by getting angry, he expected you to roll over like the dog he thinks you are and beg for forgiveness. It must have been a shock to him that you didn't do that, and I'm honestly very concerned about you going back to that house where he could possibly punish you. Please be careful. Now for a little update. I deleted my edits because I wanted to do an update, as I see a lot of kind, wonderful people so concerned about my well-being. I want to thank each and every one of you for being so supportive. I don't have any friends anymore, and all the messages and comments have made me feel like I have a support group. For now, I'm staying at my parents indefinitely. My mom is helping me write a list of all the reasons I'd want to stay and all the reasons I'd like to leave. I have always been a very independent person, and I think I've been lying to myself about my situation for a long time. I called him to tell him I wouldn't be coming home, and he didn't really seem to care much, which did hurt a lot. Either way, I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get my degree. For those of you concerned about kids, don't worry, I have an IUD. Again, thank you all so much. Your love and support means more to me than I can express. Now for a full update. So, it's been a few days since my original post. Everyone was so kind, helpful, and supportive. I received so many messages, and I want to thank each one of you for them. They meant more to me than you know. Well, I've left my husband, and it really wasn't over this one incident, but really a buildup of many. Before I even made a post, I wasn't completely blind to what he had been doing in terms of control. As weird as it seems, sometimes I just forget I am an adult, and I don't have to just yes sir and listen to any man that's older than me. I'm an adult now. I make my own rules. I feel sick saying this, but I realize I had been viewing him as a parental figure and not a partner. It kind of makes my stomach twist to even type that, but that is what it is. I don't really want to analyze it right now. It's too gross. I'm honestly going through a really tough grieving time right now. I feel like such a failure. What's worse is that he does not care in the least. When I called him to tell him I was leaving, he said, "Okay, let me know when you want to grab your stuff. We can have you moved out ASAP." And that was it. That was all he said before he hung up the phone. I'm really hurting. I loved him so much, and I think part of me just wanted to see if he was willing to fight for me and apologize. He was not, so that's that. But although I'm hurting, I feel free. My mom has welcomed me back. She's so happy I am divorcing him. I got together with my friends who he wouldn't let me see. I watched TV shows he told me were too childish. And I've been wearing ugly sweatpants and oversized t-shirts that he always said made me look like a man. So thank you, all of you. I got a wake-up call I desperately needed. I don't even want to be a housewife. I never wanted that for me. No hate on anyone who does. Honestly, guys, it was hard and lonely work. I'm going to be a registered nurse and then move on to my master's. You've all encouraged me in the best way possible. Now for some top comments. Oof, I was just about to ask what the age difference was. Female 19, male 31? Thank God you hadn't invested more time in that relationship. I'm so glad to hear you're starting to find your way to a better place. Bruh, and they're married. That means he knew her before. What the hell? That creepy cheap a-hole. Instead of paying for a goddamn housekeeper, he hung around high school kids to nab himself a housemate he could sleep with. When someone who is 31 is dating/married to a literal teenager, it's because no one within their generation could stand them. You are so much not a failure for leaving. It's great that you recognized the abuse and removed yourself from that situation. As for his reaction, he's trying to trigger you into going back to beg for his love. It's just more manipulation. All the best to you. Thank you. I have already made a decision to not see him unless my parents are with me, just in case I have a moment of weakness. Every day is getting easier. Good for you. Please get legal advice now before you move your stuff/return the key, especially if the house is marital property. Not a lawyer. Not sure if it matters, but I would want to check with a lawyer first for that very reason. Don't let him get out of this marriage with more than his share just because it's easier now. You may regret it later, and you deserve to start this new phase of your life with your head held high. He's very much about appearances, so most likely the divorce will be quiet. I don't think he'd try to pull any spiteful moves, especially since he loves his reputation. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that it is ridiculous to complain about my mom playing favorites? My mom and my wife do not like each other. I'll assign 60% of the blame to my mom because she is difficult, and 40% to my wife because she escalates things. I get that isn't how life works, but I'm just trying to explain that they have been both horrible to each other. My mom wants very low contact with my wife and tries to see me when she isn't around. My mom said when my wife was pregnant, to mean private, that she knew we would probably keep the baby from her if she didn't work and things with my wife. I said I didn't like her phrasing. But yes, if you can't respect the mother, don't expect much of a relationship. My mom said then that is her choice, and she doesn't want much of a relationship. My wife sees my mom about once a month. My mom is nice and polite to my son, now 5, but not really interested, never offers to babysit or asks about him when he isn't around. My mom has a 6-year-old with my stepdad, and my wife has always claimed she favors her. I mean, it's her daughter. In my opinion, she is allowed to care more about her own daughter than someone else's kid. My wife complains that my mom is very maternal and affectionate with my sister but shows little interest in our son. She brought it up at lunch the other day with her parents, who hate my mom, and I said it is ridiculous that she considers it favoritism when one is her child and the other one isn't. My mother-in-law called me cold and insensitive and said she loves our son just as much as my wife or her brother. I mean, I was raised by someone who is proud of being cold, so maybe I am. My wife got mad at me in private for calling her ridiculous and also said my opinion is wrong and I should be more worried about this favoritism. Now for the top comments. Not a a-hole. Wife. I don't want your mom to have a close relationship with our child. Your mom. Okay. Wife. Shocked Pikachu face. Also, what on earth? Your wife thinks your mom should treat her own daughter, who she has a responsibility for, the same as her grandchild? She's being ridiculous. Reading the post again, it seems like the mom preemptively decided to not have a close relationship with her grandson because she didn't want to get along with Opie's wife. That doesn't change the fact that a mother has more responsibility to her own child than the children of others, but the cold relationship towards her grandson appears to be 100% the mom's doing. let me make sure I have this straight from you, OP, in the comments. 1. Your wife regularly tries to goad your mother into reacting by rubbing on your mom without her consent after being repeatedly asked to stop, as well as pulls childish pranks like licking cakes your mom was making for someone else. You find this behavior acceptable because your mom's general demeanor is sulky and aloof. 2. Your mom asks about how she will be able to have a relationship with your son given how things are with your wife. You told her to not expect a relationship with your son unless your mother respected your wife, who repeatedly violates your mom's boundaries and assaults her. 3. Your mom recognizes that both you and your wife are clearly using your son as a power play. She decides not to play your game, accepts the fact that she won't have a relationship with your son, and then behaves accordingly. 4. Your mom has her hands full with a 6-year-old child already, and you are upset she doesn't offer to babysit your son? The person neither you nor your wife want him to have a relationship with because your mom won't put up with your wife's BS. 5. You get together with your wife and her parents where criticism of your mom is an acceptable topic of discussion. When you do decide to pipe up, it is only to say that it is ridiculous to complain that your mom would care more about her own child than her grandchild, completely ignoring the actual reason why your mom doesn't have a relationship with your son. 6. Your wife, backed up by her parents, has found a new angle to criticize your mom and is now goading you into addressing this favoritism. Everyone sucks here. Your wife for regularly assaulting your mom and being a bully. You for acting like actions don't have consequences and letting your mom bear the brunt of your wife's shenanigans, particularly with acting like the favoritism is merely biological instead of a direct result of your actions. Your mom for being so petty about the relationship barrier that she won't even ask about how your son is doing and is purposely cold towards a 5-year-old who can't understand adult relationship dynamics. Your mother-in-law for the one-upping. You all sound exhausting. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for rudely correcting my husband's friend after he repeatedly called me his girlfriend? So I will start this off by saying my husband and I got engaged and married young. We've been married 4 months. I'm 22 and he's 24, and we got engaged at 20 and 22. Throughout our engagement, people always downplayed it, acted like it wasn't a real engagement, and people were surprised when we announced we had gotten married. I always felt like people thought we weren't a serious couple, so it's definitely a sore spot for me, and it still is. Which is why I think I could be the a-hole here because I'm being sensitive. I recently encouraged my husband to make more friends, and after a while of talking to this guy, we decided to go on a double date. The guy's girlfriend couldn't come, so it was just us and him, which is awkward. He starts asking questions about us and repeatedly refers to me as my husband's girlfriend. Both my husband and I corrected him a couple times, and he would apologize but keep doing it. Finally, after a few times I go, "Dude, I'm not his freaking girlfriend, I am his wife." And I flash both our wedding rings. We soon say goodbye after that, and he texts my husband and says he doesn't think they were compatible and that I was really rude. My husband isn't mad at me, but he is disappointed and I feel bad. I should have just kept my mouth shut. That's why I feel like I'm the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Meh, sounds like he had it coming. Weird that he kept using the word girlfriend and not, your name. When you were both at the table, was he ignoring you and speaking directly to your husband? Does your girlfriend want to order an appetizer, etc.? That is exactly it. He never directly spoke to me. Well, bullet dodged. Not the a-hole. This seems like some passive-aggressive behavior to me. It's not like he knew you guys as boyfriend and girlfriend, you just met him. So he's only known you as married, was introduced to you as married. It's really weird to constantly refer to you as girlfriend when he just met you as a wife. I know I have an issue with my boyfriend's friends that are similar. I have been with him almost a decade, and anytime I'm around and someone new comes around, I'm introduced as ex's girlfriend. And I'm like, please guys, it's been a decade. I have a name. We don't hang out with them anymore though, so we see where that got them. Lol. Not the a-hole. I hate people who think that just because someone gets married/engaged young, like, yeah, sure, they're like 21 to 24, but like, just let them get married if they love each other. Jeez. Sorry you had to deal with that, OP. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for calling my stepmom a whore? A few months ago, I literally never would have thought I'd be making this post. But here we go. My 16 female mom and dad got divorced a few months ago this year, and it was devastating for the whole family. But by far the worst on my mom. My dad had been cheating on her for 4 to 5 months with this woman from his department at work, called Laura. And basically, as soon as the divorce was finalized literally this summer, he married Laura in a small wedding that I refused to go to. Background on my mom, 43 female. She is probably my favorite person in the world. She's genuinely so sweet and gentle and has always been my primary caregiver / emotional support throughout my whole life. Thanks a lot, Dad. And she was always really loyal to him. So this was not a both cheating situation. She was obviously distraught when my dad confessed to cheating and left. But I can tell she tried to hide it from me a bit because she would always tell me to go out with my friends whenever she was crying or doing legal stuff around the divorce. Laura, 41 female, is the opposite of my mom. She is vapid and annoying, and very much the dumb, shallow, bleach blonde type that makes you think she would be 19 in terms of emotional maturity. But no, she's actually middle-aged and only 2 years younger than my mom. She knew my mom was married to my dad and apparently embraced her role as mistress for months, even though she knew I existed because I saw her a couple of times in passing when I went to my dad's work. And he introduced me to Laura as his daughter. Laura has really been embracing the wife role since my parents' divorce and has been acting as though she's now some kind of a trad wife angel. Always making bread and acting sweet with me and stuff, as though she wasn't being a massive home wrecker this summer when I was doing my GCSEs. My parents get joint custody of me and live in the same small town. So at weekends, I stay with my dad and have to put up with him and his affair partner. I still think of Laura as that, lol, acting all lovey-dovey. I usually just stay in my room until it's over. I hate Laura, obviously. My relationship with my dad is more complex because although I'm furious with him, I still sort of love him because he's my dad. It culminated at breakfast this morning when Laura tried to call herself my stepmom when I said that a parents' evening at school was coming up, so my dad would have to go. She apparently wanted to go too. I was in a bad mood because I hate mornings anyway, so I muttered something mean about her intelligence under my breath. The conversation was basically as follows, summarized slightly. Her, don't talk to me like that, please, young lady. Me, I'll talk to you how I want. I know this was pretty rude. Please don't judge me too harshly. Her, I am your dad's wife now, and you just have to accept that, unfortunately. Me, and this is where it goes wrong. A whore with a ring is still a whore. That's when the conversation ended because Laura burst into tears, and my dad got really mad. I'm currently in my room writing this, not sure what to do. I'm starting to feel kind of guilty because it was my dad who cheated. But I don't forgive Laura, and I don't think I'll ever like her. I hate making people cry though, and I don't know whether to go down and apologize or stand my ground on this. My dad and Laura are acting like I said something crazy out of line, so I'm starting to think insulting her was the wrong move because I don't want to start some new massive family drama. Please tell me if I'm the a-hole, and if so, how can I make this right? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. As a divorced parent with children of 14 and 9 and a lot of issues with the ex-wife, I have been through a lot of family court stuff. Our eldest kid moved away from mom to live with me, and I'd like to offer you this thought. You are 16 years old and you mentioned GCSEs, so I'm assuming UK family law applies here. If you don't want to go and stay with your dad because of his new partner and your opinion of this contribution to the end of the marriage to your mom, then to be honest, you can choose to do that. Family court orders are only in play if everyone agrees to them, and they are set up for the benefit of this child, that is, you. If you don't agree with them, you can just turn around and say, I'm not going to dad's, and a family court / social services, etc. will support this. My eldest is only 14 and has just done this literally for this weekend. Mom had no ground to stand on. I supported the kid because I understand why he has made this request. even though it's ruined my child-free plans for the weekend. Lol. Thanks for the advice. I'm going to try and stay with my mom full-time from now on. And while I don't want to cut off my dad completely, I think I need time apart from him for a while to collect myself. There's nothing saying you can't head out and meet your dad for lunch or a film, and do something just the two of you, whenever you get your head straight and want to be around him again. I think if you keep going to his every weekend like you are now, you're not giving yourself time to heal/come to terms with everything, and you'll end up resentful at him. That'll definitely harm your relationship with him in the long run, compared to taking time away now. You've got a good head on your shoulders, Petal. Take care of yourself, and give your mom a big hug when you go back home to her. You'll both feel better after a good hug. At 16, you're entitled to live wherever you like. Just live with your mother. By the time they get court orders finalized, you'll be 18 anyway. You can then see your dad on your terms, if he isn't a complete a-hole. Thanks, that's what I've been trying to do. I want to maintain some sort of relationship with my dad, but obviously this has majorly soured it. I think people forget that when a parent cheats, it doesn't just affect the betrayed spouse, but also the children they have together. He put getting laid and cheating on your mother above you too, with zero regards in how it would affect his wife or his child. He betrayed you. I'm sorry about your situation, and I hope everything will turn out better for you. Sending you support from afar. So true. My dad always said, when a man cheats on his wife, he isn't just cheating on her. He's cheating on his entire family. Edit/mini update. Thank you so much to everyone supportive in these comments. I've decided to talk this through with a therapist, and I will try and live full-time with my mom now. I will not be cutting off my dad completely, but I'm gonna take a break and collect myself before I'm ready to spend time with him again. I appreciate all the good advice I've been given. Just to clarify, I am not more angry at Laura than my father. I know at the end of the day, it's Dad who broke the wedding vows. Trust me, he has had his tirade, lol. This is just specifically about her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for hosting a divorce party with my daughter the day my divorce proceedings against my cheating ex-wife were finalized? After almost a year, my divorce proceedings got finalized, and I was happy that it was finally over. My ex-wife had cheated on me and had an emotional affair, and that was the reason of the divorce. We also have a daughter who's 14, and she knows everything that happened. I hosted a party the day my proceedings were finalized, and I invited a couple of my friends and my sister over. My daughter was in the house too, and she seemed to be having a good time. We had nice food, drinks, dancing, karaoke night, and it was a good atmosphere. My sister also recommended we could burn the wedding photos I had in my wife's gifts, and it was a great suggestion. We even cooked s'mores over the fire. The next week, however, my ex-wife called and asked why I had done that, and that she felt degraded and humiliated, especially since we did it in front of our daughter. I told her our daughter wasn't affected by it, and in fact, she seemed to enjoy participating in throwing away the gifts in the fire. I told my ex-wife her issues are her issues, and to not involve me in them anymore. Was I the a-hole? Getting the kid involved is crappy, even if she enjoyed it. That has potentially to go boom in family court if things take a turn in that direction. Your ex-wife is an a-hole obviously, but don't be an a-hole too, especially in front of your kid. Yes, number one of a co-parenting relationship is don't talk smack about the other parent. You can be honest and truthful about what happened, but you have to learn to separate your feelings in front of your child. She's not your wife anymore, but she is still the mother of your child. Your child is going to internalize every awful thing you say about her mother, and that is not healthy for your child. By all means, do have that party on your own time, but it should not have happened in front of your minor child. You're the a-hole. Throwing a party is one thing. Involving your daughter in the burning of photos of her mother was way too far. I think burning the pictures when you have a child is already a bit reckless, regardless of involvement. You don't want the pictures, that's fine, but your daughter might want photos of her family together. You might just have to throw those in the attic instead of burning when you have a kid. If it was wedding photos, that might be alright if there are likely copies, but you have to consider whether your kid might want photos of mom and dad together 10 years down the line. My mom did that, As much as my father is an a-hole, he cheated on her with his secretary. I was angry at her for doing so, because it's my story. I lost a huge tangible piece of my story. My kids don't have the classic pictures of their grandparents' wedding. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not being okay with my husband's ex moving into our guest room, even though she has nowhere else to go? My husband, 34 male, and I, 29 female, recently bought our first home together, and we were excited to finally have a space that was ours. A few weeks ago, my husband's ex-wife, 32 female, reached out to him with a request that completely threw me off. She asked if she could move into our guest room for a couple of months. She recently broke up with her boyfriend, lost her apartment, and claims she has nowhere else to go. I understand they share an 8-year-old daughter and they have a good co-parenting relationship, but this feels like too much. My husband didn't even consult me before telling her it might be possible. He just expected me to be okay with it because it's temporary and for the sake of their daughter. I offered to help her find another solution, even offering to chip in for a hotel or a rental, but my husband shut that down, saying I was making things difficult for no reason. He's been pushing hard, saying their daughter would benefit from her mom being nearby during this transitional time, but it feels manipulative to use their daughter as an excuse. Plus, his ex started texting him constantly way more than usual, and he's acting like her emotional support system. I can't help but feel like this is crossing a line. They're divorced, yet now I'm supposed to live with both of them under one roof? It feels like I'm being pushed out of my own home. This morning, things got worse. His ex texted me directly saying I must not care about their daughter if I'm unwilling to help. That's just not true. I care about their daughter, but I never agreed to share my home with his ex-wife. I feel like I'm being made out to be the bad guy here when all I want is reasonable boundaries. Now my husband and I are barely speaking. He's acting like I'm heartless for not wanting to help, but I feel like I'm being forced into a situation that makes me deeply uncomfortable. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. His ex texted me directly, saying I must not care about their daughter if I'm unwilling to help. If they cared about their daughter, they wouldn't have set up this insanely tense living situation and skewed her understanding of healthy boundaries. Not the a-hole. That's exactly what I've been thinking. How is creating a tense, awkward environment beneficial for their daughter? It's definitely not teaching her healthy boundaries. I'm all for supporting her well-being, but this situation seems like it would only cause more confusion and stress for everyone involved, especially their daughter. They're trying to frame it as what's best for her, but honestly, it feels more like they're just avoiding other solutions that would be much healthier for all of us. Even if this isn't malicious, it would be extremely confusing. What if the daughter got it in her head that her parents would get back together and OP wasn't away? Although honestly, this is so weird. Be very clear. If he wants her to move in so badly, he can buy you out of the house and you'll move out. Be very clear that he won't share a home or a husband with his ex. No hinting, no subtlety, no room for interpretation. I'm not telling you that she can't move in. I'm telling you that I won't share a house or a spouse with your ex. If she moves in, I'll be moving out. And I want it in writing before she takes residence that you're buying me out of full market value and that you understand why I'm leaving. From there, should you still want to move her in, communicate only by text or email, so you have a paper trail for your lawyer. I completely agree. The fact that he would not even make this a discussion between him and his wife before making the decision to move her in is a huge red flag. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my grandpa he needs to cut off my mom to have a relationship with me? Title is a lie. I don't want him to be in my life, period. But I just needed something to actually get him to back off. So I, 21 male, have never had a relationship with my mom. She's never been in my life at all. My dad said she didn't want to be my mom anymore when I was around 2, and just left and has just paid child support. He tried for months to initiate contact and try to get her to see me, but she refused. It caused some identity problems, as well as questioning myself if I was good enough from a young age, but I've grown from that. Anyway, my dad never stopped her family from seeing us, and I met my aunts and my grandparents. I did love being around them and everything, but around my teenage years, everything changed. I found out that they were still in contact with her and seemed to have a pretty good relationship. They just acted like what she had done to me didn't exist at all. I tried to move from my feelings, but I couldn't. So when I was 15, I told my dad I didn't want to see them anymore. He was shocked and asked me why, and I told him that the only connection I have to them is through my mom. And my mom isn't my mom, so they're not technically family. I was 15, okay? Bear with me. He tried talking to me several times, but I didn't budge. Finally, he ended up calling and talking of them and telling my feelings. They didn't understand, and even accused him of manipulating me, which he never has. They kept showing up at my dad's house without his permission and caused a lot of drama. At one point, they tried to sue for grandparents' rights, but it didn't work. I blocked them from my contact and just pretend they didn't exist. I had my siblings, dad, stepmom, grandparents, and aunts and uncles from my dad's side. I was going to be fine, and I was. I've moved on from them, and now I'm a nurse and living a pretty okay life. The problem, though, is I've been getting messages and emails from my grandpa. It's basically been saying that now that I'm grown and out of my dad's house, if I'd be willing to have a relationship with him again. I've been ignoring them for the most part, but decided to respond after he tried guilt-tripping me. I told him that I don't want a relationship with him or his wife or his daughters at all, and I'd appreciate if he left me alone. I told him it broke my heart as a kid when I saw him basically ignore his daughter's treatment of me and acted like everything was fine. He responded saying that they had their fights and disagreements over it, but he couldn't abandon her since she was still his daughter. I ended up telling him that if he wanted a relationship with me, he would have to cut her off. That seemed to shut him up, and he just said he is really sorry how everything played out and hopes in the future I'll be open to a relationship with him. I just got annoyed and told him to buzz off and blocked him again. I don't plan to ever speaking to him, and I'm just here since my friends think I was too harsh with him. Am I the a-hole? Even after you are an established adult, your crappy mom wants nothing to do with you. Ignore all of them. If it's okay their daughter abandoned you, they should be okay with you abandoning them. Thanks, that's my view. It's funny that he knew it was wrong to abandon his daughter, but didn't see the wrong with his daughter abandoning you. Right, double standard. But it's fine, I'm not losing anything keeping them away. Lol.